Hey there, and welcome. So today we're going to tackle a pretty big question. How does everything on the internet just, talk to each other? Let's jump right in and figure this out.
I mean, really think about it for a second. How does your favorite game on your phone magically know the real-world weather outside? Or how can you snap a picture in one app and instantly post it to a completely different one? It really does feel like some kind of magic is happening, doesn't it?
Well, it turns out it's not exactly magic. The big secret is that all these different apps and websites have these little invisible messengers, and they're just running back and forth all day long, carrying messages and information between them. And this secret messenger, it has a name. It's called an API. Now, that stands for Application Programming Interface, which I know sounds super technical and maybe a little boring. But I promise, stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll see it's actually a really simple and honestly, a really cool idea. So to make this whole thing super easy to get, we're going to use a little story. Let's imagine that the entire internet is one giant busy restaurant. This is our API restaurant, and it's going to help us explain everything. So picture this restaurant. You've got the kitchen back there, you've got all the customers sitting at their tables, and then you have the most important person for our story, the waiter. In our story, the API is that super helpful waiter. Its only job is to take your order and bring back exactly what you asked for. First up, let's talk about the kitchen. In the world of tech, we call this the server. The kitchen is where all the good stuff is, right? The ingredients, the data, the information. It's kind of like a huge treasure chest or a library that holds everything you could possibly want. Okay, now let's talk about you. Sitting at the table, you're the customer, or what we call the client. The client is just whatever app you're using, your weather app, a game, your photo app. You're the one who wants something from that kitchen, but you can't just get up and walk in there yourself. You need some help. And that is where our hero comes in, the waiter, the API. The API is that perfect go-between that connects you to the kitchen. And here's the most important thing to remember. The waiter doesn't cook the food. It doesn't even know the recipe. It just takes your request, delivers it, and brings the result back to your table. It's a pure messenger. So, how does this actually work? How do you order from the menu? Well, it's a really simple little cycle of asking for something and then getting a response. Let's break it down. It's basically a simple three-step dance. First, you, the client, figure out what you want and give your order. This is called a request. Step 2, the API waiter takes that request and hustles it back to the kitchen, the server. And finally, the waiter comes back with your food. That's the response. Request and response. That is the heart of how pretty much all APIs work. And just like in a real restaurant, you can ask the waiter to do a few different things. You can ask to get information, like, hey, can I see the menu? You can post something new, like when you place your actual order. You can update an order you already made. Hey, can I add fries to that? Or you can delete something, like when you cancel that dessert order. Each one of these is just a different kind of request that our API waiter understands perfectly. Okay, but what about privacy? I mean, you don't want the waiter giving your bank information to some random app, right? This is where a little bit of security comes in. Think of it like a secret club handshake. Think about it this way. The restaurant's menu, the one with the list of pizzas, that's public. Anybody walking in can see it. But your special order, the one that has a note about your food allergy, whoa, that's private information. The waiter needs to be absolutely sure that information is handled carefully and is only connected to you. So to make sure everything is safe and sound, the API waiter needs some proof that you are who you say you are. This whole process is called authentication. It's like having a secret password or a special key card for a hotel room. It proves your identity so the waiter knows it's safe to handle your private info. So, yeah, we've been talking about restaurants and waiters and secret handshakes, but why does any of this actually matter to you? Well, because these API messengers are, and I mean this literally, everywhere. They connect your entire digital life. Seriously, every single time you check the weather, that's an API waiter running to a weather service to get the latest forecast for you. When you pull up directions, that's another API waiter talking to a mapping service. Paying for coffee with your phone? That's an API. Posting photos? API. Booking a flight? Yep, you guessed it. All powered by these invisible messengers working their tails off behind the scenes. At the end of the day, they're basically the glue that holds the internet together. APIs are the reason all these different programs and services can work together so smoothly. And this is huge for people who build new things. It means a new app developer doesn't have to build their own weather service from scratch. They can just use an API to plug into an existing one. It's like building with Legos instead of having to make every single brick yourself.
And get this, these aren't some rare thing. In fact, if we go all the way back to 2013, there were already over 10,000 of these public APIs out there for people to use. 10,000. And that number has just completely exploded since then. These secret messengers are one of the most common and critical parts of the modern internet.
So there you have it. The magic behind the internet isn't really magic at all. It's just a whole lot of very, very efficient waiters. So now that you know the secret, it makes you think, right? If you could have your very own API messenger, what kind of cool things would you want to connect? What problems could you solve? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for listening.